What you're about to hear is a record of a world where truth no longer mattered. A world which is, thankfully, now archived. There was a time when truth didn't need permission. It didn't require agreement. It didn't wait to be approved. It simply was. But in this timeline, truth didn't disappear. It was outvoted. This reality did not fall to censorship. There were no book burnings. No central authority declaring what was real. Truth was not attacked. It was replaced by something far more agreeable: consensus. If enough people believed something, it became real enough to act on. And that was all society required. At first, the change felt harmless. Opinions were elevated. Feelings were respected. Lived experience became evidence. Facts still existed, but they were no longer privileged. They had to compete. Every claim entered the same arena: attention, confidence, repetition. Truth no longer won by accuracy, it won by popularity. And sometimes, it didn't win at all. Hospitals were among the first to adapt. Doctors noticed a pattern. Patients rejected diagnoses that conflicted with what they already believed. So protocols changed. Illnesses were identified by trending symptoms. Prescriptions followed collective reassurance. Data was still collected, but outcomes were judged by satisfaction. People stopped asking, "Will this cure me?" They asked, "Do most people feel better after this?" And when they didn't, the data was adjusted. Courts followed. Evidence became negotiable. Testimony was weighed against public sentiment. If a verdict contradicted what most people believed, the verdict was reconsidered. Justice was no longer blind. It was responsive. A ruling didn't need to be correct. It needed to feel right. When truth no longer protected you, innocence became fragile. Guilt became contagious. History suffered the most, not because it was erased, but because it would not stay still. Events were revised, then revised again, not to correct errors, but to match the moment. Textbooks no longer recorded what happened, they recorded what was acceptable to remember. Two people could graduate the same school, the same year, believing entirely different pasts. And both were assured, this is your truth. Which meant the past could no longer warn them, because it no longer agreed with itself. Eventually, something failed. Not governments, not infrastructure, people. When truth lost authority, no claim could ever be settled. Every debate became endless, every decision provisional. There were no conclusions, only louder conclusions. Society didn't collapse into chaos, it dissolved into indecision. Nothing held long enough to act on. The system called itself tolerant. Everyone could speak. Everyone could belong. Disagreement was allowed. Correction was not. You could not correct someone who believed their truth should be reality. The cost of being wrong was immediate. So people learned. Never retreat. Never revise. Certainty became safety. And truth, quiet, uncharismatic, inconvenient, had nowhere left to stand. Eventually, people adapted. They stopped asking whether something was true. They asked, is this widely accepted? Is it safe to repeat? Will this isolate me? Reality became negotiation. Belief replaced verification. And the most dangerous idea of all took hold. If enough people agree, accuracy no longer matters. This timeline was archived not because truth was destroyed, but because it was no longer needed. Lies were not needed. Why lie when people choose what feels right? Censorship was unnecessary. Truth could still be spoken. It simply carried no authority. In the end, truth didn't lose to falsehood. It lost to likes. This record has been sealed, and the world you live in is still deciding what matters more, truth or likes.